as to how to best utilize those people and the staff we have currently. So it'll be an exercise in scheduling. And I still have a little bit of talking to do with the Assistant Superintendent, Director of Special Ed, and Mr. Simonello over at the middle school. So that's the update.
Mr. Ariston?
How much of the funds are you going to max out at the allocated halfway point there?
Right now, we're utilizing $163,000, which covers the money that's going towards the SF hole that the state created when they told us we're going to get 80, and then they sent just 22 and said, but we're sending you the money in a different way. It also covers the MTRS, the retirement allocations that are by default part of this grant. It covers the teacher at the elementary school, and that leaves somewhere around $58,000 for those support positions. And again, whether we can get 1, 2, or 3 people under that will depend on when it starts, like when do those people start, how many hours they're going to work, and whether we get 1, 2, or 3.
So if that takes us up close to the 210,
that leaves about $90-some thousand for next year.
So you have enough money for next year to cover all the positions that you'd be creating this year.
It would cover the 3rd grade position, and whether it's a 6th grade position or whether it's assistants or paras in 6th, 7th, and 8th, yes. If we retain that money for that purpose, then it would be there.
What did you say the date was for the 3rd grade teacher?
It's the Monday we come back from break, from Thanksgiving.
After Thanksgiving.
I think it's the 29th.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Have you got any feedback from parents?
Yeah. Some parents don't like the idea that their kids will be moved, but if you're going to create a new grade or a new class within a grade, kids are going to have to move.
Right. What has been the discussion on how to make it as easy as possible for the kids?
A big part of it is trying to keep clusters of students together, but at the same time you have to balance that with the needs of the kids. In other words, you don't want to just pull all the kids who are at the high end of the scale into one group. And again, when you do this, it's like at the beginning of the year when you send out the class list and you find out your child's not with his best buddy. Mm-hmm. And, it may be upsetting, but after a while, kids tend to make friends with other students. And unfortunately, this is just a transition in the middle of the year.
Mr. Sullivan?
In going through the decision-making process, class size was identified as being the biggest concern over support staff for particular skills within the 3rd grade.
At that point, yes.
Okay. So with that decision made, it certainly makes sense that we're hiring to fill that spot. At the middle school, is a decision been made? Is that still being contemplated on?
The issue at the middle school is that it's certain classes are the ones that have the high numbers. Not every class ended up with 28, 29 students in it. But you have a few classes in 6th grade, a few classes in 7th grade, a few classes in 8th grade. We targeted 6th grade originally because we knew there was a cluster of kids there that were needy, but we're still hearing from 7th and 8th grade how difficult it is to operate with those high numbers, and we don't have enough money to put 3 teachers. In fact, that's why we ended up with the high numbers, is because we cut staff. So we're still in discussion whether we get 1 teacher and just take care of 6th grade and let 7th and 8th grade, continue in the path they're in, even though we're getting a lot of complaints and a lot of difficulty, with the needs of the kids at those grade levels, or do we go to instead of a teacher, using the money, splitting it up for a different kind of support, which would be paraprofessionals that would go into those big classes and then try to jiggle the schedule and say, hey, you may be a paraprofessional that's in English 6, period 1, you go to English 7, period 2, you go to English 8, period 3, and then you go back to math, period 4 in 6th grade, and so on and so forth during the year, during the day, across the whole week. So it becomes more of a scheduling, I don't want to call it nightmare, it's just difficult. So that's what we're weighing at this point.
Do you have a general time frame for the middle school positions?
At this point, we have a ton of applications for the 6th grade position. We still have a few people who we have tried to contact or have been on pink slips. Some have called back, some have not. So that's still in the mix. And if we have to go after the TAs or the paraprofessionals, I'm sorry, it would probably be a couple of weeks, in part because it's looking at the whole schedule of the middle school, or at least those top 3 grade levels, and trying to mix and match who you already have with what you're bringing in. And it's not that easy. I don't want to do it, knee-jerk reaction, just throw them in there and then figure out the schedule later. I'd rather figure out the schedule first and then decide whether we're going to go with the paras. So at this point, I'd say I wouldn't see it before the middle of December, although we may need to put some people in place now to help some of these support pieces that need to be in place for some of the kids in the 8th grade and 7th grade.
Thank you. Dr. Cawley, MAC, letter F, MAC ceiling update. I'm sorry. I skipped.
The whole
Dr. Cawley,
the
letter
whole
E.
budget thing.
The FY10 budget review.
All right, we have been tracking the budget. At this point, we see pretty much in the general fund about 19 to about 20% expended. A lot of that has to do with pretty much the beginning of